Done.
Welcome to episode number 398 of Get Paid for Your Pet. We're almost at 400. Next week is going to be number 400. And this is the podcast that we're doing with Eric Muller weekly. So Eric, welcome to another podcast.
That's right. I don't know if you got to continue to welcome me, right? Now I'm part of the show. I'm here. I'm taking over. I'm a co-host. So welcome everyone who's listening.
Are you trying to take over the podcast here or what?
Hell yeah, man. That's what I do. I take things over.
So next week we're doing podcast number 400. So we should do something really cool.
Yeah, it's going to be powerful.
We'll come up with something sweet. But yeah, today we are talking about Legends X because we have officially, drum bells, officially opened up the applications for the second round of the Legends X Accelerator program. We did a live event yesterday, which was incredible. We broke our record. We had over 1,000 people register for our live event, which was pretty amazing.
Dude, how crazy is that? Like when we first started coming together, trying to figure out how to build this business, like we had a few people show up for our trainings, all that stuff. And now we have over 1,000 people from all around the world showing up to these things or signing up for these things. It's incredible, man. I love what we're doing.
Yeah, for sure. It's exciting stuff. But yeah, yesterday we had our live event. We had a lot of people show up, and it was funny because we opened up applications on the webinar, and I think it was about 10 minutes after the event. I looked at your calendar, Eric, and I was like, I think something's going wrong here because I don't see any times. I don't think people can book right now.
Yeah.
The calendars were just completely booked out, which is pretty
funny. It was pretty incredible, man. We got flooded really, really quick. And I'm looking at my calendar right now. It's kind of insane. I have probably about 6 to 8 calls a day for the next, into the near future, even on Saturday. So it's gonna be awesome. I love doing that stuff. So kind of give everyone some background on that. It's like when Legends X is we set the bar with this first class that we brought in, right? And we want to make sure that we're not just opening this up to the public, right? And everyone can join, and whoever you are can just jump into this thing. This is not like an evergreen product. This is a class structure, and I know you and I are just so focused on finding the absolute right people for this program. So to do that, I'm dedicating my time to speak to everyone who applies for it, right? So we spend about 30, 45 minutes going deep into their business and really understanding what they're working on, where they're going, where their bottlenecks are, and really making sure that they're a good fit for the program, and that the program will bring them value based on where they're at. So it's a lot of time for the next 2 weeks of really finding the right people. But we are looking for 75 of the right companies that we can bring through this thing, put it through the machine, and actually get a massive result. So I don't have weekends for the next couple of weeks, but it's all good, man. I love connecting with people about this topic. It's gonna be fun.
And just so everybody knows, we did open up more spots in the calendars, so we fixed that. So you can definitely go ahead and apply at strlegends.com/x. And as Eric mentioned, the process is you fill out a quick application form, only takes a few minutes. And then you schedule a discovery call with Eric or someone else on the team, just to really figure out if the program is a good fit for you. And that's the process. So strlegends.com/x. Applications are open now. As Eric mentioned, we are looking for 75 companies. So the first round we had 52. We were shooting for 50, but then there was a few people who really wanted to join, so we're like, all right, fine, we'll do 52. But the last round sold out pretty fast, and probably this round as well. So if you're listening to this and you can relate to the hectic host that Eric and I have talked about quite a bit now, if you can relate to that person who's really passionate about Airbnb, and who wants to grow the company, but you're doing everything yourself. You're in the day-to-day of your business every single day, and you can't take on more properties because you just, you can't take on more work. You got to get systems in place. You got to get some team members. Then you're the perfect person to join the Legends X program. So let's talk a little bit about the program structure. Because we gave out feedback forms to every single company that went through the first round, and the feedback that we got was that everybody loved the program structure. All right, so why don't you explain a bit on why we designed it the way that we did?
Yeah. So as far as the pods and the coaching and the content, yeah. So, I mean, I think we mentioned this a few times on this podcast in the past, or a few of our other trainings. I read a stat once about the online educational industry, where 4% of people who actually buy a online course or join a online go at your own pace program, only 4% of people who buy those types of courses actually go through the content, implement it, and get a result. 4%. That blew my mind because we're in the information age, right? And I said this yesterday or the other day on one of the trainings, is that if information is all we needed, we would become millionaires with the bodies of our dreams just by watching YouTube. Like everything we need to understand on how to build businesses, how to get like our ideal bodies, on how to build wealth and whatever it is, all the information is out there. You can literally study this stuff on YouTube. It's crazy, right? So information is not the challenge. It's the accountability, it's the structure, it's the goal setting, it's the getting things clear in your mind so you understand why you're investing the time into trying to understand this information. But more importantly is, how do you actually hold yourself accountable? How do you plug yourself into accountability to actually implement it so then you can get a result, right? And like a perfect example of this is something that I do, and Jasper, this quite well, is and I've been doing this for years, is I set 90-day challenges for myself every 90 days, and specifically around my health. Because I recognize, like, without the accountability, I know what I got to do to get in shape, stay in shape, and stay athletic. I know what I got to do, but without the accountability and the structure and something to achieve, I tend to get lazy. I tend to not go to the gym in the morning, sleep in, drink a little bit too much, eat some extra fun foods, stuff like that. So every 90 days, I create a structure for myself. I understand what my goal is. I create the accountability with some accountability partners, with my girlfriend, with a coach, and then I get after it, right? And I recognize that if you want to achieve something, literally, we can achieve anything in 90 days, right? Or at least set ourselves up for massive success in 90-day blocks. And I've done this personally for myself on the health game, on the money game, on relationships, all this stuff. So 90-day blocks. So we're bringing that accountability into Legends X, right? So yes, we have world-class content. I mean, dude, we took how many months and years to build all this stuff and learn from our experience, but also working with all the different students that we've worked with and hosts that we worked with from around the world to understand what actually works. So the content is world-class, but if we just give you the content, we want to, only from what stats say, only 4% of people are actually going to go through it and implement it and get a result, right? We don't like those numbers, right? We want to get those numbers up as high as possible. So that was the challenge that you and I came together of, like, how do we actually change and dominate that percentage number? 4% is not acceptable, right? Especially if we're bringing students into our programs, we want to get that up as high as possible. So we have world-class content, but then what we did is we recognized that the accountability is missing from the content. So we created the accountability structure to ensure, one is you have a community to go through the content with, at the same time that you can relate with other hosts that are going through the same challenges that you are, and help go through this content with you and implement it to get that result. We then assign a coach to that community to make sure that any big challenges or anything that comes up, you have somebody who has the expertise to guide you through that. And lastly, we're not going to give you all the content at once, right? We're going to actually drip this out to you so we can put the blinders on and focus on the most important thing that time, so then we can implement and get a result. So the way that we do this is, I recognize, I'm like, people are itching for community, right? We can go through content online, but we want to go through it with a class structure, with a community, people we can relate with. So we created the pod structure. The pod structure is 5 to 8 other Legends X students that are at the same level of success as you are, have the same type of desire with their business, and then people that you can relate with. And you guys are going from day 1 through day 90 through this entire program together. We put the blinders on, but we've connected you with a community that you can actually go through and rely on and relate with as you go through and implement the content and the systems in this business or in this program. Then what we did is we attached that pod to a high-level coach who is there for you 24/7, but also that will meet with you once a week to make sure that you are implementing it correctly. If you have any challenges or questions around the content or the implementation, you have somebody outside of your pod that you can go to that can actually direct you and help you clear up those bottlenecks. And then lastly, that content drip, I think, was a big game changer, right? You know, the way that instead of giving you all the content, we're only going to give you the content you need in that moment so we can keep the blinders on and get a result in your business. Now, the whole goal behind this was to get accountability, implement it, get a result. I just mentioned that the stat in the online educational space is that only 4% of people who buy an online course that go through at their own pace go through the content, implement it, and get a result, right? Through the last Legends X program, we had 100% success rate in our program, 100% success rate. This means that every one of our students went through all of the content, implemented in their business, and they got a range of all different types of results, right? Time saved in their business, clarity around where they're going with it. We had a student that actually surpassed the $1 million mark in bookings on Airbnb. We had students adding listings. We had students hiring people. We had students, getting rid of properties that didn't make sense to them. So we went from, and that was our goal, man. That's freaking awesome. We should celebrate that, even more within our company. But that 4%. So anybody who's listened to this, like, oh, I'll just, watch content on YouTube. That's fine. But the challenge is only 4% of people that go through that stuff actually implement it and go through all the content. We were able, through this structure, do exactly what we set out to do and get that from 4% to 100% success rate in the program, which is freaking amazing. And then the last part I'll say on this too, the reason why we were able to do this is because of the selective process of finding the people that actually want to go through and get a result, that are sick of being in that hectic host position, who actually want to grow a real short-term rental brand, make real money, save their time, have more freedom in their company. We look for those people that are just freaking excited about growing an Airbnb business and really breaking through and figuring that out. Those are the people we want to work with, and we do it. The program is intimate by design. 75 students is small enough for us to have our hands on every single one of their companies to understand what they're going through and support them through the process. So, dude, I'm freaking pumped. As you guys can tell, I love this stuff. I love the results that we're getting through this. And I'm just excited for the next 75 students that are coming through this program, what we can do for their businesses and for their financial futures through their businesses as well.
Yeah, and that statistic, I remember you first told me about that and I couldn't believe it. So I looked it up and I was like, oh, this is actually true, which is crazy because, you're talking about YouTube, but that 4% is actually based on people that buy a course, right? That pay money for a course. But it's interesting because I look back and I've done the same thing. I've purchased courses up to $1,000, $1,500 in the past, and then literally did nothing with it. which
Dude,
is crazy.
Dude, like a perfect example is we fit that right now. We're fitting that stat. We got so business. We're in a business mastermind where we're paying $5,000 a month to be a part of. And the first 60 days we were a part of this, we paid $10,000 to be a part of this. I did not put my time into. They don't have the structure and the accountability that we have in Legends X. But they're a world-class mastermind, world-class coaches in there, but they don't have the accountability. If you show up and play all out, that's awesome. But if you don't, it's on you type of thing. For the first 60 days, we didn't go through any of the content. We were showing up for some of the calls, but kind of checked in, checked out. And I had to take a step back and be like, holy crap, I'm part of that statistic that I'm trying to change. So I got to go all in and create my own accountability with me playing all out in this mastermind that you and I are a part of. So we can not be part of that 4%. And it's a challenge. I recognize that. And I know if they had the same type of accountability that we created for Legends X, you and I would be, we wouldn't have to force ourselves to really carve out our schedule to make it happen.
Yeah.
Right. So it happens to everybody. And I think the way that we structured Legends X really is tearing down that challenge for a lot of people.
Yeah, and the accountability part is pretty interesting because holding yourself accountable requires quite a bit of discipline. Because if you're the only one that you have to hold yourself accountable for, then you can come up with excuses, and there's always other stuff to do. There's always something that seems more important. But the structure that we created, we get together in pods. It's our 8 to 10 students. Every single week on a Zoom call. So if you don't show up, then you're letting everybody else down.
Yeah.
Right. And that's a much stronger driver typically for people. Like, people are okay for some reason to kind of let themselves down, but nobody wants to let the group down.
Yeah. I mean, you become part of the tribe, right? Your pod becomes, like I said, you become part of the community in there. Right. So it's like, you do stand out. You stand out. The team recognizes when you don't show up for work, right? So it's like, I'm not going to be the guy. I'm not going to be the gal, right? I'm going to play all out here. And then also when we recognize that someone doesn't show up, we call them out, right? And we want to understand, why didn't you show up? Where do you need support? How can we help you more? How can the pod help you more? Yeah, I mean, we can achieve a lot in 90 days when we have the right accountability and the right discipline behind what we're doing in our business.
Yeah. And it's crazy to think that, that statistic 4%. And when we look at our students, like every single student went through the content, right? Which is incredible. And that's exactly what we wanted and why we designed it this way. So awesome. Let's see, what else should we talk about here? Let's talk about some of the other programs, the other parts of the program. So we have the accountability pods. It's a weekly call for 12 or 13 weeks. Every single week we get together with our pod and with our coach. But then also we have, on top of that, we use Slack for daily engagement. So everybody will be in Slack with their pod. So not only do you have those weekly calls, but also every single day you can go in Slack and you can ask questions to the coach, to the other students, which I think is another really powerful aspect of the program.
Yeah, man. I mean, at the end of the day, we have to, if we want to achieve something great and have actual change in our business, I remember the day when I was in that hectic host position where I just had a breaking point where I'm like, I do not want to deal with customer service anymore. I do not want to be hanging out at home, watching TV at night, trying to relax, dealing with guests, asking me basic questions, right? I don't want to deal with cleaners dropping the ball, right? And I was just kind of fed up with the whole thing. So I dedicated myself to getting myself out of that position, right? And it took me a long time because I had to build my own discipline and accountability within myself and my business to get to that point. And it took me so much longer to do that. But as soon as I created the accountability within our team and our coaches and some consultants that we brought on, it was like every single day I was given updates on what was happening, what we were doing. Every single day I was giving, staying in communication with everybody that was around me to help me succeed and get out of that position. And then I recognized like just that accountability, just by communicating and having people I can go to, it got me out of that mindset of, oh, I'm alone through this whole process. I got to figure this out. There's this, and I read about this quite a bit. Like if anyone reads about entrepreneurship, early stage startups, all that stuff, the one common factor is that entrepreneurs believe that they just have to, if they're not where they're at now, they just have to work harder and longer to get the result, right? I must not be working hard enough, or I must be doing something wrong. I have to work harder. I have to sacrifice and just keep doing it. I have to control the whole thing. That is actually the stranglehold behind actually growth, right? Because we're kind of closing ourselves out to people that can support us in our businesses, and support us and give us advice, or, help us through those challenges. And I think what we have to do as early stage entrepreneurs, and the same thing that we're doing, right? By joining, Boardroom, our mastermind that we're part of, we're surrounding ourselves with high level business people that have achieved what we're trying to achieve with overnight success. And we stay in touch with them daily. We stay in touch with them. We meet with them weekly. We dive deep into masterminds with them monthly. So this is a long, response to what you just mentioned. That was what I recognized is like, okay, we need a pod structure. Okay. We need that 6 to 10 people in a group that are going through this together, right? And crushing it. And you have that community. We're going to meet weekly with the pod and the coach so we can break through those challenges and really kind of celebrate what we achieved and work with each other to solve those bottlenecks. But really, the biggest value is in the middle of the night when you're dealing with a customer service issue or a guest throwing a party at your house. And you're like, how do I stop this from happening? Guys, I need help. You have somebody to go to 24/7. In direct communication, and it's there so we can support each other. So yeah, we stay in touch every single day, 24/7 in Slack with our pod and our coach. So we're never alone during that process. And what I love about this too, man, is like once our class cohort 1 went through that and we put them into the alumni group, and people started sharing, it's like everyone represents their pod. I'm pod 1, I'm pod 7, I'm pod 6. And like people are celebrating and doing, meeting and having dinner and drinks with each other. And like it becomes a community that they're all really supporting each other and growing through. So I love how we, set up that structure, but most importantly, I love watching the Legends X students really create that community between each other.
Yeah. I mean, the program ended a couple of weeks ago and I've already met in person with 3 of our students.
Yeah. I love that.
Which was incredible. Before we wrap it up, one thing I want to discuss quickly is the playbook, right? Because we asked our students in the feedback form what do you think was the most valuable part of the course, and a lot of people said the playbook. So before we wrap this up, I just want to quickly touch on that because I think that's a super valuable part of the program.
Listen, I mean, at the end of the day, we have to move from a hectic host to a legend and to have a real hospitality brand, something that is scalable, something that is sellable, something that is running like a machine without you as the host, as the owner, being the direct person driving the results as far as your time in every aspect of your business. We got to develop systems. We got to develop processes. We have to develop references. We need a structure to our company, right? And one of the biggest problems I had in the early stages of my company was I had a half-built document here, half-built document there. I had a folder over here. Things were a complete mess, and there was no structure to it. I use this all the time. Like if you look at McDonald's is the best example behind it. McDonald's got super clear on their vision, what they wanted to serve, who they were serving, how they were simplifying their offer with their 3, menu items: burger, fry, and shake. Then they focused on how do we turn this into a machine? They developed what's called the Speedy system. And the Speedy system was what made McDonald's what it is today, right? It's not their burgers, it's not their shakes, it's not their fries. That food, pretty terrible if you ask me. I was never a fan of it. But you can't downplay McDonald's as a company. It's unbelievable what they've done and how they were able to scale to the levels that they're at now. And it was all because of the Speedy system, all because of their systems and their air quote playbook that they had for how you start and run a McDonald's. There's no difference to the short-term rental industry. Every single listing we look at, no matter what location it's at, we have to have the same systems and processes of running that property, to what properties we take on, the type of locations, how do we handle our guest communication, our onboarding, our customer service. All this stuff is systematized, right? So if, one of the things that we hear all the time is like, I love hosting, but I want to have properties all around the world. I want to have listings in all the places that I want to travel to, and really be able to have a nomad type of lifestyle running this business. Freaking awesome. The way to do that is developing clear systems and structures and references around your business. So the playbook is the way that you do that. The playbook, the Legends X Playbook, is the process center of your company. That is your company. Because as you start expanding, you start putting in new Airbnb listings, you start hiring new team members, you just pass off this playbook to them and say, this is who we are. This is how we run our company. All the systems, everything you need to know is here. That helps you with training, that helps you with onboarding. And guys, guess what? Like at the end of the day, how Julie was able to sell her company in 3 years. It's the same type of process. That's your value. You're able to not only run and expand your company, but that's what investors look for when they want to buy your company. If you have the desire to sell it. And if you want to grow a team, that's how you train them. That's how you guys run it. Otherwise, we're going to be in this hectic host, rat race essentially. So yeah, that's a game changer. That changed our business. And yeah, it changed everyone's business inside Legends X. So excited for the new group to go through that as well.
All right, man. Well, I know you got to jump off. Because I know you have, I don't know, like 5 or 6 discovery calls with potential new students.
Right.
5 minutes. So baby, I'll let you jump off and I'll finish up this podcast.
All right, brother. We'll chat soon.
All right. Take care, Eric.
Bye.
See you later. So Eric is very busy right now, specifically with all the calls. I looked at his calendar and feel kind of sorry for him. He's going to be on the phone for pretty much the whole day for the next couple of weeks. But we have a few other team members as well that are helping us out now, so he doesn't have to do everything by himself. But before I wrap up this podcast, I wanted to dive a little bit more into that playbook, because that's essentially, it's what we use to build our business. When Eric and I got together 2 years ago, Eric presented that playbook to me, and at first I was very resistant to it because I was like, I don't like structure, and I just like kind of doing things on the fly and just kind of winging things, and I don't like to sit down and document stuff in a Google Drive sheet. It's just boring, right? So when Eric first introduced the playbook to me, I was like, do we really need to do this? Like, I just want to get stuff done. I don't want to go into a Word doc and write down all the action steps and link up all the resources and whatnot. But then Eric convinced me that in order for us to build a company, we have to have a process, a documented process for everything that we do in our business. And we have to have a place where everything is linked up and organized with numbers and a unique identifiers. Each document has a unique identifier. And so essentially the playbook, if you look at our playbook, I think it has like 400 or 500 documents. You could run our entire company using that playbook, right? So that's why Eric mentioned it's so valuable if you want to sell your company in the future, because that's what businesses look at when they acquire another business. They look at like, okay, well, how's your documentation? Because otherwise we need to hire all of your staff initially to learn how you actually run the business, right? So we provide this playbook that we customized for short-term rental businesses, right? We looked at our own businesses, but then also we looked at the businesses of the people in our STR Legends mastermind, and we recognize that there's a number of areas where everybody needs to have a really, really solid system, right? So number one, that's guest communications. Number two, that's property onboarding. Number three, that's cleaning management. Those are really the three biggest bottlenecks that we see in short-term rental companies and the companies that we've worked with over the years. And so we've actually gone and built, and this took us months. And one of the Legends X students in a testimonial actually said, that just having these systems is worth, investing into Legends X, because if you want to build that by yourself, it's going to take a lot of time, because we built these systems as a team. We actually hired somebody to help us with this as well. And we used all the documents that we had from our own companies. And eventually, after months of work, we developed these systems. They're basically a collection of documents that are all linked up to each other that you can literally implement in your playbook throughout the Legends X program, where you now have a system for your guest communication, for your property onboarding, your cleaning management. So all the documents that you need, all the templates, all the information, the action steps, everything is in there, organized in a way that it's easy to find. So once you have those systems implemented in your playbook, you can then start hiring people. And then those people can follow your process and reach the same results that you get working in your business. Because that's a worry that we recognize that a lot of hectic hosts have is, they think, well, if I hire somebody to do these tasks, then they're not going to do as good of a job as I do, right? And that's very true if you're operating from memory, right? Because how's that person going to know how you do things in your business, right? Once you have a solid system and process in place, and it's easy to find so that you don't constantly have to explain to your team members, where the documents are, when there's a clear structure to the playbook, where it's easy to find the document that you're looking for. Now suddenly it's very easy to hire team members, because you can literally just tell them, like, hey, if here's number R200 is the document that describes how to onboard a new property, for example, or how to create a new Airbnb listing, or how do we set our prices, right? Or what kind of messages do we send to our guests, and when do we send those messages, and how do we log into our technology tools, and all that information is in one of those documents. And all you need to tell your team member is how to find those documents, and then suddenly it becomes a lot easier. So those are the main systems that we provide with the playbook. The playbook has a lot of other smaller documents as well that are really useful, but yeah, guest communications, property onboarding, cleaning management, and then we also have what we call the ultimate hiring system, which is a super powerful system that you can use to hire people, because hiring people is a process in itself, right? It's like, how do you what kind of ads do you put out there, the description, what are you looking for exactly, the job scorecards. There's so much that goes into hiring the right person for your business, that we've created an entire system around that. And it's been really cool to see that some of our Legends X students have actually used that very system to hire some really incredible people in their businesses. So we'll probably talk more about Legends X next week. Hopefully Eric has a little bit more time then for episode 400. But if you're interested, go ahead and check out our website, strlegends.com/X. We have a lot of information up there. You can go through exactly what the program looks like. It's 90 days. You can see exactly what modules we're covering. You can see what other stuff we've added as bonuses, and there's a lot of stuff. But go ahead and check out our website. There's some testimonials on there as well, some interviews with Legends X students, so you can watch those. to get an idea of whether this program is a good fit for you. And then if you hit the apply button, you fill out a short application form, and then you get to schedule a call with us, and we'll jump on the phone with you to talk about your business and really make sure that it's a good fit. Because as Eric has mentioned, we want 100% results. We want 100% of our students to go through the content and to get a result. So with that said, that's the end of today's podcast. So I hope you enjoyed this podcast. Monday we'll be back with another podcast where I'm interviewing one of our Legends X students, actually, who really crushed it in the program. And she runs 3 companies at the same time, which is pretty incredible. So if you want to learn from somebody who manages to run 3 companies at the same time, then listen to the podcast on Monday, and then next week on Thursday or Friday, I'll be back with Eric, and we'll talk more about the Legends X program and things that we learned and all of that. So thanks for listening. Go to strlegends.com/X, apply for the program if you think it's a good fit, and we're looking forward to talking to you soon. Take care.